Hey everybody, I'm going to do another copper, white, and gold 7-inch clock for a commission, and I ordered the big one that came today in the mail, and I couldn't resist using it. I wrote on it with a permanent marker. It takes 8 ounces to fill it up. This one I don't really know, I never measured, so it's 3 to 4 ounces I think. This one is 12 inches across from point to point. Came from out of the country, out of the US, and it's not cheap, but it's a great quality and it's so worth it, and it's such a beautiful design, and it works really well when you want the 3D effect in your resin, like petals or whatever. So I have mixed equal parts A and B medium viscosity artist resin by Counterculture. I mixed it 6 minutes. Anytime you start mixing, it's going to be cloudy, and then it's going to become more clear as you finish mixing. I do have bubbles. I don't put it in a warm bath or anything because the bubbles usually come out by heating them in the mold, and I usually use a torch. I have a low temp heat gun that's only 300 watts, and I have a heat gun that I'll use as long as I don't get it near the edges. You don't want to get the torch near the edges either. So I've mixed 6 minutes. Now what I do is I put my timer onto a stopwatch and I start it. And this is what's so important about getting this beautiful effect, is the timing of the resin. And you have to pay attention to how long you've had it mixed and the warming of the resin, and you have to feel it. So I'm putting my timer stopwatch aside. I'm going to pay attention to how long I've got it mixed as I'm getting things prepared. I've got 4 cups with piping bags. Really, piping bags are the best way to go if you want the most control. When you try to pour it out of a small paper cup, or some people use these little things. I haven't used them yet, but it's like a little silicone, and so you can squeeze it, but still you get the best control when you're piping it out of a piping bag. You can get a bulk of 100 bags for pretty cheap. It's just the best results from piping bags. And then not cutting too much of a slit at the end. You don't want too big of a hole. So I'm going to do this one the way I've been doing my last 4 or 5 that I've done, that I've sold every one of them, is I'm going to do copper, gold, white into this clear resin here. I don't have resin in them yet. This one I wanted to do different. It's got the middle part. This can be a stackable tier thing, but I'm using it as a clock. My inspiration, see, I'm at 2 minutes right now, but I'm keeping that going the whole time. So my inspiration is the typical, what is most beautiful with copper. It's always the verdigris, that verdi color. It's kind of an aqua green color. So my goal is to mix that color with some shimmer to it. I've got Armor Art, and I got pearl copper. It came in, and I want to use it, and I'm kind of scared too because I know I'll get the results I want with the mica powder. So I may put just a bit of this in and then a bit of mica into it to give it a little bit of both. So what I like to do is to put a little mica powder and a little alcohol ink into my colors, and I like to use these hard plastic beakers. So I'm going to need a gold, a white, a copper, and the turquoise verdi color. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my pigments into the little beakers. I'm going to start, I'm using Funshine Color Shop. This is Minty Mist. So it's a little bit of a greenish color, which is pretty. And this is going to be for the big one. So I'm putting about 2 scoops of that. And then I've got Navajo, which is more of a turquoise color. I'm going to put 1 big scoop of that. And then I'm going to wait until I've got resin into it to see what if I like it or not. I'm also going to need a cup for the copper leaf. I organized my table, so now I'm a little thrown off because I've got things actually organized. I've really enjoyed this color combination. The copper is just so delicate and beautiful. It's somebody said it was understated elegance, which is true. It's not quite as flashy as gold. It's just really soft and lovely. So for the copper, I'm going to put 1 scoop of copper. For the gold, I'm going to use Sparkle Miners Gold, which I've been using on that. I'm not mixing a lot, it's just for the small clock. And then I like to mix it with Iridron Pale Gold from Laura's Art Corner. And the white, Sparkle White. I'm going to put a good amount of that because I'm going to make the most of mixture is going to be the most is white. If you don't know how much your mold holds, you pour water into it and measure it that way, but just you have to make sure it's thoroughly dry before you use it. Also, the wider mouthed container you use, the heating is a little different from when you use like a tall narrow cup. Just keep that in mind. So I'm going to do about maybe 1.5 ounces of the copper. I just need a little bit of the gold, maybe under 1 ounce of turquoise. I spilled some in the mold, but it's clear, so it's fine. And then the white, a good 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces there. So into the gold, I'm going to add some gold alcohol ink. So like I said, a little alcohol ink and a little mica powder is usually the way I like to mix my colors for these kind of effects. So here is the copper, and it's just the copper mica powder right now. You know, to use pigment, that's going to make it heavier, which is going to be fine. So I didn't use as much mica powder because the pigment is really, really heavily pigmented. So I'm just going to start out with like 1 squeeze for now. So it's still kind of transparent, so I'm going to put 1 more squeeze of it. Just to put an alcohol ink in, I'm going to put a few drops of the gold, which will not change the copper color, but it just puts a little alcohol ink into it. I'm going to put 1 more scoop of copper and see what this looks like so far. I don't want it transparent. I want it to be pretty significant, you know, pigment wise. That looks pretty good. I'm actually going to put a little Sparkle Miners Gold into it just to soften it slightly, I think. Put a nice little healthy dose in. See what happens. I haven't done that typically, but I'm going to do it this time. So that lightened it just a bit. I want it really close to that copper leaf color. I have been using the Flash Rich Bronze, but I'm almost really kind of out of it. So I thought, well, I'm going to try. Now I'm going to put 1 more little squirt of the copper pigment. Another little drop. Okay, I'm going to put this aside for a minute. I'm going to do my turquoise mixture really quick. So that's the Minty Mist and the Navajo. And for alcohol ink on that, I'm going to put in Ocean Green by Brie Reese. I'm just going to put 1 healthy drop, and then I will adjust my color if I need to. So I'm adding just a little bit more mica powder to it, and that's really pretty with the copper. I'm trying to decide if I want to add a pigment or a dye to it, a Bombay ink or something. I'm not sure. Now I need to mix my white. Right now this is just Sparkle White, which is from Funshine Color Shop. It is just beautiful by itself. It'll add sparkle to any color you want it to. I'm going to put a little bit of white alcohol ink into it. And then I'm putting Cast and Craft white pigment. That gives it a little heaviness, so it makes it kind of be heavier to where it kind of goes down. So I like some weight to it. So that's why I like to do the powder, the pigment, and the alcohol ink, so it's a nice sparkly white. That looks pretty good. I need to add some resin to my copper leaf. And the thing with leafing is sometimes it sticks together in chunks and you really got to break it apart, get it broken up. So this takes sometimes a little bit of time to get it separated. It gets chunky. I could tell when I took those out of the jar that I had some big thick pieces that are stuck together. They're so fine that the layers will stick together and make these clumps in the resin. You can also separate it out into your resin as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pour. I'm going to add a little bit more of the green minty color. The other thing I'm going to do is just make sure that my resin is into these little crevices. I'm still going to be adding copper leaf and all that, but just want to make sure I've got some resin in there. So I'm at 21 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and get this copper in as quickly as I can. See how it's coming out in clumps. I have to work on spreading it out. And it's prettier too when it's in little pieces and more delicate looking. You've got to get this done before about 30 minutes. You go too much further and it's going to get real sticky and tacky and it'll pull out and turn into plastic almost. So I'm at 49 minutes, but I've finished piping everything in at around 35. So just keeping an eye on your time is super important. See, when you pull it out after 40 something minutes, it's stringy, but I'm just making sure I don't have any hairs or dust or anything. My white, I either made it too lightweight and it kind of spread apart, or I made it a little bit too heavy and it went down fast. I don't know, but I can tell it's reacting differently than it typically does. So I'll just have to see when I unmold it what it looks like. I'll be back tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day. This is the fun part. This was the 16-ounce container I mixed my resin in. You just get it started and you go around and it just lifts the whole thing out. Easy peasy. I can use it over and over again. And the plastic beakers, you just bend it a little bit and out it comes. Yeah. And then if you have drips on the outside, they just peel right off. I actually like doing this part of it. It's kind of like when you do an acrylic pour and the drips fall on your, if you have, I use butcher paper underneath everything. This white paper is butcher paper. It's in my Amazon link, and it's a 30-foot roll, I think, or maybe 50 feet and 30 inches deep. It covers my work table. Silicone, paint, everything peels off of it. You can clean it really well and keep it on your table for quite a while. And so, like if I do acrylic pours or whatever, I just peel stuff off or wipe it down. It's very satisfying. But I still use my counterculture mat. You can tell I just got a brand new one. This one I've used over and over again. So it, you know, the color's turning, but it still works perfectly. Everything just peels right off. You can clean it and clean it and clean it and keep using. And then this one is brand new, so it's lighter looking. So we're going to reveal these because I was concerned, and I'm not sure what it's going to look like because the resin kind of acted a little bit different from this side. This one looks like it has more color. This one looks more clear. So I don't know. It's always a surprise with resin or pouring. You always get a surprise because you can't control everything, you know. Ah, still beautiful. So it did do what it was supposed to do. That's a good thing. Alright, now for the big one. Since this is such a nice mold, I try to be cautious with each little groove and insert that is in this mold, even with the little one, but especially with the big one. And I poured, you know, over the mold. I just kept my strings kind of going, so you have some residue that kind of sticks on the mold part. But I pull it out from underneath. This mold, these two molds are from Refloxy, is what I call it. It's Germany, I think, so it's not an American Etsy store. But it's fast service, and you have to pay for shipping, but well worth it. Okay, so the green came out really, really subtle. Let me put it down on top of the white so you can see it better. So, I wish I'd have made the VIRDI color just a little bit bluer and a little bit heavier, so it would have shown up a bit more. And I might could gotten by with no white. I'm not sure. It's still very pretty. It's still delicate. Look at that pretty shimmer though. Got one little heavy area with the copper leaf, but it looks good overall. So yeah, I think I'm going to try this color combination again, just the copper and that VIRDI, and maybe a bronze, the three of those together, and go kind of deeper and see what that looks like. So maybe not in the clock, maybe in coasters or something, just giving it a try. But yeah, this mold is fabulous. I wrote down it takes 8 ounces so I can remember, and the quality is excellent. It's nice and heavy, good quality. So now I have 2 of the tiers. I just need the 3rd tier. I'm kind of buying them a piece at a time because they are expensive, but very well worth it. The quality is so worth it. And I love the design of it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. Here's the 2 little, this is the bottom side. I didn't care for it, but this is actually really pretty. It's the gold, copper, and a little bit of that VIRDI green that I had left. They're like little geode shapes, and they're for phone grips. You can make magnets from them. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out all the links below the video. I usually link all the molds, the products, everything below. My Amazon link, make sure to check out the journals that I have started there. I'm going to be doing those more and more, adding to the list over time. So check it out. And I will see you on the next video. I love you all. Bye-bye.